Hey everybody, Scarpo here, making a video. I'm using my new phone, so hopefully it's recording. I think it's recording. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna walk you over here to see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna make a video, but I thought I would turn the lights on while I do so. Over here, I've been working on this crazy chaotic panel right here, but I installed these two switches and then these strips. I should have figured they were going to be 3 amps, which is pretty powerful, but left switch, right switch, depending on which way you're facing. And so yeah, these are my LED strips. I mounted these to the 12-volt system, and that allows me to just hit a switch when I want and turn them on and access light, right? Seems simple enough. Unfortunately, they both together run at about 5.5 amps, which is pretty significant for my my battery drainage and all that. But that's not even what this video, of course, is about. It's rather just I guess it's just about starting over. You know, for me, like this whole process of the bus just couldn't really have come at a better time, because all the shit hit the fan in my life like right after we got the bus. But I refused to be pulled away from it. And while I've been doing this, I've been learning so much about DC power, for example. I mean, I knew a little bit about currents and electricity, but I've been able to, you know, learn more about how these circuits work and the types of wires needed. And it's a fascinating learning curve. I mean, everything is about taking a chance in something new that you haven't done before. And hopefully you get rewarded by figuring it out. You know, I've always been kind of a hands-on guy, and I know most guys are, at least a lot of guys, tend to want to be able to tackle things themselves if it's possible. But a good humble man knows when he shouldn't get his, you know, when it's time to call in a professional. I even have a hard time doing that. But let me just say, first off, not for the sake of thinking that, oh, I can do this and I shouldn't rely on anyone else, but for my fear of hiring someone to do something that sucks at their job, that makes it worse. I mean, I've hired so many, you know, people for different things. Not a lot, but I mean, I should say, of the people we have hired to do things, I've been screwed over so many times. I've had a good plumber a couple times, but I've also had been ripped off, you know, by various people over the years, especially working on my car, you know, having people come over and check it out, and if they can't do something, you know, maybe making it worse than just ditching altogether. That's why I have a little Honda Civic sitting out here that's been there forever because of that. The guy took off with the front tires to get new tires on the wheels and never came back, you know, the tranny's half installed and whatnot. So to not try to get too far off track, trusting in other people is really hard. So you end up wanting to do things yourself and you know, get the experience. Like, well, if you can't trust anybody to do it right, you know, do it yourself. And I've kind of always been that way. But in the process, it's a learning experience. I get to learn so many new things, new trades, different types of, I don't know, it's exciting. As a carpenter for many years, I learned a lot about working with wood. And I always said I want to work with stones. And so I got a stone grinding setup and a cabochon making machine where I can, you know, cut my own, find a stone at the river, slice it down, round it out, polish it, and put it on a necklace. The only step after this is metal, and I've done very little with metal casting, but it's something I still want to do. If I could work with silver and stone and wood and make my own, like, you know, scepters, walking sticks with big silver, you know, knobs on the top with, like, you know, stone, just so many different things I could do. But it's because I like to do stuff, and I like to learn. Like, that's one of the things about being human. It's you know, it's hard to compare humans to animals. Of course, we could say, well, humans are creative, and what sets us apart is that we're rational thinking people, and that we, you know, think about the future and the past, and that animals don't. And to a degree, that might be true. But we learn every year that animals are smarter than we thought, that they do play, that they have fun. The fact that animals have fun and that animals plan ahead for their food, that birds will store things a dozen times and make sure that nobody's watching. there's an innate intelligent nature. It's a playful nature, and with humans we get it all confused. And so anyway, that aside, one of the things about being human that I find is that does set us apart is this desire to learn everything, to not just be a one job animal, you know. And if we are, then what is our job? You know, I mean, animals eat the food that they eat, they hibernate, they do whatever they do, you know, migrate or whatnot. Every animal has their own little niche, and so what is our niche? So for me, I think that that's creativity. I think that that's discovery. I think that that's when we go out and learn how to do new things and get our hands dirty, so to speak. And we're going to make mistakes, but the ultimate mistake is not trying in the first place. I mean, I've heard this over and over, that, you know, people don't regret the things that they failed at. They regret the things that they never tried, that they wanted to try. Because a failure is just a lesson. If you never try in the first place, you just don't know where you would have made a mistake, and you don't know if this would have worked and that would have worked. And I'd say things seem so much easier in retrospect. Once you've done things a few times, I take it for granted that I can go out and just cut a board down and make anything out of it, you know. Cut it down to any size without having to be like, okay, how do I use this saw? You know, what is this tool? It's just something I've grown to do, and that's what I want to do with everything. I want to just be able to go, oh, that's how you do that. Oh, you need to wire in some lights, boom, 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 without having to wonder, am I going to burn my bus down wiring this in wrong, or, you know, how are my woodworking skills? Are the bolts going to yank right out because I put them into plastic? Or, you know, there's so many different aspects and angles to know. And I compare that carpentry to everything in life. The less we know about things, anything, the more daunting it is to have a discussion about things. Like, just like a carpenter, me talking about certain aspects of carpentry to someone who's not a carpenter, they wouldn't understand what I mean, but they get a general sense. But when it comes to, say, politics, you know, beliefs, religious status, and whatnot, you know, people are very, it's very difficult. People just assume that others know or should know, you know, when everybody's got their own lives going on. So I guess in a nutshell, if I were to consolidate and say, try to get a message in here, would be that I cherish the fact that humans are innovative, that we're creative, that we explore and try new things. And I also appreciate the fact that the things that I'm interested in and that I explore are not going to be the same things as you or someone else. And that's the beauty of it. I don't have to learn everything myself. I have friends that can know certain subjects, so I don't have to. This is why we have a friend that's a doctor, and one that's a plumber, one that's an electrician, you know, one that's a carpenter, one that's a mechanic. Because we know that all these things are necessary, but no one person can learn them all or wants to learn them all, because we have, you know, different interests. And so being human to me is about curiosity, and I feel like those who aren't curious, who aren't at least inquisitive in some ways, are missing out on a lot in life. You know, don't be afraid to try something. You know, it's never too late to, you know, get your hands dirty, so to speak. It doesn't have to be even big, you know. I mean, just exploring the realms and the options of life. So that's all I got, and I'll talk to y'all later. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Be well. Peace.